Welcome to Conversations with the Commish. Today we are joined by the 15th president at the University of Buffalo, Dr. Satish Tripathi. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you, John. Thank you for having me.
You taught in the fields of engineering and in computer science. You go from that, being a faculty member, to today you're president of a university. How does that evolution occur?
Well, there's no fixed path to do that. It kind of happened because of certain events on the way. So I became chair of the department very early on. Right after I became professor, and the day I was promoted full professor, I became the chair of the department, a fairly large size department, about 50 faculty members, 250 PhD students, and 1,400 undergraduates. So that gave me a sort of feeling about doing some administration. But I was not committed to doing administration at that point. I did my turn of duty and returned to the faculty and was enjoying the being a professor. And the opportunity came for me to be a dean. And that was really a sort of game changer in the sense that now I was really looking at multiple departments and trying to set a course for this whole school, which is a relatively new school actually. And so without knowing, from one job to the other, I end up here.
And you also have had a fascinating life journey. You left the country of your birth,
Sure.
India, first to Canada, and now to the United States of America. That must present both some incredible opportunities, but must be a little daunting.
It is actually, but from very early on, I wanted to be a teacher. And once I reached the university, I decided to teach in a university. And to do that, you got to really do a PhD from a good place. So I came to Canada. The interesting part is when I left India, India had changed to metric system, which was very interesting because it was the old system and then went to metric system. When I came to Canada, it has not changed to metric system. So I learned back. And then while I was there, they changed to metric system. And then I come to US and then I change back again. So the most daunting task was really to keep changing the measurement system, the any kind of measurement system from one to the other, back to one and back to the other. So that was really the most daunting task.
What did your family think of your pursuits, and particularly leaving the country?
My family always knew that I would be a teacher because I'm a fourth generation teacher. I grew up in a small village. My father was a high school principal. My grandfather has his own school. So really, it was very clear that I'll be teaching math and science. That's what I wanted to do. They didn't know where I would be teaching, what I would be doing. And they were very supportive. I was a relatively good student, so they said whatever I wanted to do is just fine. And really, they had no real hesitation of whatever I wanted to do. So it wasn't really as bad. And also, when I came, there were no internets and those kinds of things. So you really didn't have the communication as much. So they didn't know all the bad things and the good things about leaving the country.
Does your life experience give you think, a different perspective of international students?
I don't think so. Many of my colleagues president, they have international exposure. It's not that you have to be born somewhere to get that exposure. It's just that as long as you have a perception, you have exposure. I don't think I have anything extra in that.
Okay.
My colleagues have similar kind of exposures and they can, sort of feel the same way.
And what does an international experience bring to a student or give to a student or provide for an institution that partners with other institutions?
So think about international experience as a diversity in terms of the student body. We all know that a diverse set of students will have, if you combine them together, if they work in a team, the results are going to be better than just a group of students who are all similar. Think one more dimension in that, bringing the international students who have had a very different experience. If you're trying to solve a problem, it provides you another way to look at the problem. It gives you that thought process that probably is different than your own. And that is what creates really the best team to work on problems. And right now, if you think about really the sort of major multinationals, they're all around the world. you could be working with somebody from Belgium to Beijing to Bangalore and in Buffalo at the same time. You may not have gone through international exposure the same way, but you are going through that exposure, how you perform, how you work, how you talk to each other, how you understand each other. That's critical.
Mm-hmm. And now you're running an institution here in the United States where we've embedded athletics within the academy, which is unique to the United States. What is your perception of that?
You know, this is, I would say this is really a plus here because you're providing the students a place really to bond, a place to have that kind of emotional attachment which is beyond the professors and the classes they go to. And the tradition that has been created for hundreds of years is really has been very effective in terms of the bond of the alumni to the campus. And also the experience they get on the campus, both the athletes and the other students, is really unique in the world.
You've kind of jumped in with both feet from a leadership perspective in intercollegiate athletics. You're chairing the Mid-American Conference Council of Presidents. You've been selected as the conference's representative to the NCAA Board of Directors, which is the president's group of the NCAA, and from that you've also been selected for the NCAA Board of Governors. What do those duties entail?
So I mean, those are very, very, very big responsibilities. If you think about the MAC group, the Council of Presidents, I mean, that's really very important group to look at ourselves, to look at the sports in general, to really look at what's going on nationally, to look at what changes are being made, and that's very important. And make sure that we run all that under budget. And your leadership has been very important in doing that. Mm-hmm. You know, for me to be on the national leadership teams, both in terms of the Division I Board of Directors, the Board of Governors, and now I'm chairing the Finance Committee for the Board of Governors, I think it's really not any different from being a leader of a university. You know, the kind of financial management, the kind of rules and regulation one has to worry about, they might be different in terms of what they're written, but really we're talking about the same kind of boundary conditions that we need to perform in a given environment. We need to perform under these conditions. And I think that's important. But it also gives me a chance really to learn more about intercollegiate athletics, to really interact more with our colleagues across the country, many of whom I have known before, but really it gives me a chance to work in that direction as well.
If we went out in the stands and picked out a fan and brought him and sat him down in one of the NCAA Board of Directors meetings, what would surprise them about what they heard or saw?
You know, it's, so are you taking a random sports fan or?
Exactly.
I think they would say these guys are wasting too much time. But in general, I think they would feel that the group of people who care about athletics, who care about academics, they care about really the students to graduate, students to really perform better. At the same time, really having the opportunity for the athletes who may not have opportunity to attend a college to come to the college and graduate. So if you think about really the core mission, that's all they're trying to do. And then, of course, there are a lot of other things that they have to worry about.
You're in the middle of a rather wonderful trajectory of the athletics programs here. You've had success one spot, another spot, but here in the last couple of years we started to see the football program inch forward. This year off to a 6-1 start at this point in the season. Last year, you know, basketball, you've multiple championships over the past several years, including last year with the men's program that defeated the Pac-12 champion in the opening round of the NCAA tournament. Women's basketball team that advances to the Sweet 16. Can you see a difference? Is there a difference in the city, in the campus community that is coming about as a part of some of this high-profile success?
You know, so we are relatively new in MAC. As you know, it's 20th year being in MAC. In 1998, we joined the MAC conference. So our history with Division I right now, and we had other innings before, but our history right now is relatively new. And for us really to get the excitement going, we need these winning teams actually. So I have seen the difference in terms of the students' enthusiasm. When I go in the city, people talk about these teams, what's happening. Buffalo is a sports town. And if we are winning, They notice that, and they're really enthusiastic about that. But making a tradition takes a long time. It's not something you can do in 10 years and 15, 20 years. But, right now, we are doing very well.
I understand you have a passion for cricket.
I watch it, yeah.
Did you ever play it?
No, I was referee for, for some games, but, not necessarily that I played that people could watch me. When I played, I watched myself.
When you sit down with the athletics department, the coaches, the administration, perhaps at the beginning of the year, what do you talk about in terms of expectations you have?
So my main talking really is about academic excellence. The rest of it really is the secondary to me. If we do our core mission, and the core mission is really teaching the students, doing the great research, getting those research translated into economic development and into really helping the human being. That's really the core mission. And I talk about that with the coaches and everybody else also, how we are AAU institution, how our rankings have gone up 32 points in US News and World Report in the last 5, 6, 7 years. I talk about those and try to say that that is our mission. And if we do that right, the rest would be done. And that's my message, actually.
Wonderful. And that's a great place to bring this to conclusion. Dr. Tripathi, thanks for joining us today.
Thanks a lot, John.